Alrighty, welcome everybody. I hope everyone's having a good day. I know here in New Mexico, it's been pretty blustery and windy and a little bit chilly. So we're all kind of, I last week I was in short sleeves and this week I'm back to my long sleeves. So, that's how the weather goes. Anyway, welcome to my channel. My name is Julie Brown. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and you're either watching me on my business Facebook page or on my YouTube channel. And I do appreciate you guys doing that. Hopefully you will subscribe, follow, do all those things, and don't forget to share, guys. Share these videos with anyone that you think might benefit from them. So I'm going to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. I want to just make sure you guys know how to contact me. If you guys do decide to place an order, you can do it through juliebrown.stampinup.net. There is also a link in the description. You can email me at juliescreativestampin without the G at gmail.com. And then you're either watching me on Facebook, but if you do try to find me on YouTube, you have to type in Julie Brown Julie's Creative Stamping. And then make sure you check out my blog. I've been building it for 2 years, and so it's slowly but surely getting a lot of good information in there for you guys. So hopefully you will take the time to go check that out. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to be working with mask. And hey, Carol from Canada. My roommate at Onstage was from Canada, so I'm so glad you're joining me. So tonight we're going to be working with the Lovely Garden Suite, and I'm going to show you that suite really quick. And then part of that suite is this Thankful Garden Bundle, and I'm going to explain each of these elements to you. Now, for those of you that are new to Stampin' Up!, a lot of you don't realize that you can, even though I show you a suite, you can buy all of these things separately. So let's just kind of go through. So the bundle is actually the stamp set, the dies, and the dies actually have, it's kind of I call it a double up. And I do need to give a disclaimer. They do not come with these magnet sheets. I actually put all of mine on the magnet sheets once I get them here. So it's the Thankful Garden with the dies, and I'm just going to set those to the side because we're going to be using those later. And then part of the bundle is these decorative masks, which we're going to be playing with tonight. Now, part of the suite is everything I just showed you, plus this really fun, this is kind of like a velvety ribbon. And I don't know if you can see the color really well. But it's fresh freesia. And then I love these embellishments. Can you guys see they're like starburst, and they're so pretty, and I love them. And then I'll show you the paper. Now, obviously, I've been using a lot because I've been designing with it, but it's double-sided paper. So you can see this one. It's the stripes on one side. Now, this is an online exclusive, so you won't see this in the catalog. And that's why I'm putting up the numbers and stuff for you guys. And then that one has this as the back side. And then this one has the green checked. And then we've got this pattern with this really pretty floral pattern on it. So super pretty. And then this one, the other side of this one is these white dots, which is really pretty. And then I've already showed you that one. I think we've seen them all. Let me make sure. Oh no, we haven't seen this one. And so then the other side to this one is this like the lines that aren't straight. Okay. Now this is called the Lovely Garden Designer Series paper. So like I said, you can buy the whole thing in the suite, which you get everything that I showed you, or you can buy everything separately. Okay, so I'm going to put the garden suite up again. So you have that number just in case you decide you want the whole suite. And then there's the one for the bundle, which is the stamp set, the dies, and the mask. Okay, so this is my free card class, and the way that this works is I'm going to show you 3 cards tonight. And for anyone who places an order between now and Monday, so a minimum $40 order, you don't have to buy the products that I'm showing you, but if you do place an order, then you're going to get all 4 of these card kits. So I'm going to do all the cutting, the die cutting. The only thing I won't be doing is the stamping. Sorry, let me switch here so you're not watching my hands be weird. The only thing you won't get is the stamp set. And so that's why if you want to make these cards exactly, then you might want to consider getting that bundle. But if you have other flower stamp sets, I'm sure they will work. So what happens tonight is I'm going to walk you through the cuts. And we're not doing a lot of die cutting because these are really simple cards. I use the Designer Series paper a lot because I want to show you guys how you can take these simple cards and really make them pretty. But again, if you minimum $40 order and it's in by Monday, then you will get these card kits mailed to you, and you'll be able to come back, watch this video, and make them along with me. And then I have another, I'll tell you another part of that at the end. So, all right, let's get started. Okay, so the first card that I'm going to do, you're going to need a basic black card base that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. You are going to need, and I've got to bring my ruler out because I usually have a little cheat sheet sitting here, and I didn't do that. So you're going to need a piece of basic white that is 3 by 4 1/4. And then what I did is this, remember this was the same side, right? So I took this and I cut it to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I cut it in half at 2. So I have a 2 inch, and I just have to flip it over to get the other side. So these pieces are 2 by 5 1/4, and then you need a 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside. Okay. So let's get started, and we're going to be using the mask. Now, the way they're called layering mask, and the reason they're called that is because you're going to layer as you go, and it's going to create these beautiful flowers. And so what I do is I will take the piece that I'm stamping on, and I'm going to actually, and you know, sometimes I think I'm going to open this up because sometimes I need a wider piece of paper, and you'll understand why in just a second. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to tape this in place so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to come in, and we are going to use the, I don't even know what these are called. I know the other stamp set, the other stamp image is a hydrangea, and these are like maybe dogwood or something like that. So I'm not sure what this flower is actually called, but we're going to ink this up with black Memento ink. And then we're going to go ahead and stamp it on this paper here. All right, so that is stamped. I'm going to clean this off really quick. I'm going to bring in my chamois. And yes, I wash my chamois. I had someone one time comment and say, you should wash your chamois. And I'm like, I have card classes and my chamois get used more than most people's. And I will actually throw mine in the washing machine. So they have actually been washed really well. They just are permanently stained. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the mask. And what's cool about these masks is, and I actually drew these numbers in so that you guys could see them. Like, I actually took a permanent, like oh my gosh, why can't I think of the word? What are they called? A Sharpie pen, and I drew in the numbers so that I could see them better. But they're really, I mean, this black is not in there when you get them. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this number 1, and you'll see we have all the way to 5. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to take number 1, and I am going to get number 1 lined up first. And then what I'm going to do is, see over here where the number is, there's a notch. And what I do, instead of just like drawing in the notch like this, I actually color in that whole little triangle. Okay, so can you see this triangle that I drew in over there? So now I know that all I've got to do is line it up here and then kind of shift it over here a little bit. And now it's lined up perfectly. So then I'm going to come in with some more of this Post-it note paper. And I'm just going to kind of get that so it's not going to move. Now, one of the cool things about these masks is you can use one ink pad as far as for the flower, and then one color for the leaves, because it's all about as you're layering, it's all about making sure that you do a light layer and then a medium layer and then a dark layer as you're using your blending brushes. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about blending brushes, because when I first got these, I used to wash them all the time, okay? Because I didn't have a lot of them, and so I had like one for the yellow family, one for the red family, and that's how most of us start, and that's fine. But what I've learned over using these is that it's actually better not to wash them. Hey, Sherry. Oh, you're southeastern India. Wow. Or Indiana. Okay. So it's better, actually. What I have found is I label mine now, and I'm working up to trying to get one for each color that I use. And the reason I do that is because the more saturated this gets, the smoother it will blend. I have found sometimes when I wash them that right after I wash them and I'm trying to add ink again, I have to really work on it quite a bit to get it to be smooth again. So I've quit washing mine because now I'm trying to get one for each color. But when you get started, obviously you may not be able to do that when you get started. So when you get started, I would keep one for yellows, one for reds, and then work your way up with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to ink this up. Now, I do have a little spot that's open right here. And for this one, because I'm not cutting this one out, I'm going to cover that because I don't want to get the paper underneath where I'm not blending. I don't want to get that with the color. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to be very light-handed, and I'm going to go in really light. Okay. So there's my first layer. Now I'm going to pull this up, and look how pretty that looks just with that. Now I'm going to need these. I'm going to clean this later, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to set that to the side, and then I'm going to bring in my number 2. And remember this little thing I drew over here. So here's the number 2, and this is what we need right here. So I'm going to line this up with this. And then you always have to, like, just because you get it in that triangle doesn't mean your left side is going to be perfect. So you still have to see how I have to kind of shift this a little bit. And so I'm going to shift this so that it covers everything that it's supposed to. So what this does for you is it helps you in getting it set where you want it. But I do want to warn that just because you line it up over here doesn't mean it's going to be perfectly lined up over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up with the crushed curry once again. And I'm going to come off, and this time I'm just allowing it to be a little bit darker. And you can do that in 2 ways. You can press a little bit harder, which I don't suggest that you do, or you just kind of keep going over it. So I like re-inked, and I kind of went over it. And I'm trying to be really soft to the touch here. And now we're going to pull this up. And you're going to get to see, okay, can you see that? Can you see how it's, I'm going to actually bring you guys in just a little bit. Whoops, maybe not. Maybe that'll work right there. There you go. So can you see the variation there? So now I'm going to bring in number 3. And again, the first thing I do is line it up over here where I drew that triangle. And then I'm going to kind of shift over here. And then I can see, like, there's a little dash or a little opening right here, and I know it goes right on that flower. So I just kind of pushed that up until it was covering that flower. Okay, so again, you guys are going to get to see a lot of this tonight because I decided to, I really wanted to teach you how to use these masks because I think they're wonderful, and they're just a really fun and quick way to make cards. So again, I'm going to go off and then I'm gonna actually bring in a dark, I'm gonna be darker with this one. So I'm gonna ink it up, start over here, and then I'm just coming in like almost full ink, you would say. And when I feel like I can see that it got into all of those little dashes, then I'm just gonna pull this up. And look at that. Look how pretty that is. And I didn't have to do any of the shading. All I had to do was blend. All right, so now we're gonna do the leaves. So I'm gonna move this out of my way, and I'm gonna bring in a garden green ink, which I will be using that color for all of the leaves tonight. So here we are. And the cool thing is that this number 4 actually lines the leaves up as well. So let me just move all my little pieces. So now I can line that up over here, and it gets those leaves lined up. So see how cool it is when you use that little notch? Once you get that lined up, it's so fun. And it kind of takes the guesswork out of sitting here trying to figure out how do I make these leaves, you know, how do I get it lined up? By using that notch, and I know I kind of took the notch, let me see if I can bring it back in for a bit. So I lined it up with my little notch here. So now I'm going to come in with my garden green. Again, I'm going to be very light-handed here because this is my first or my base color, and I want the more detailed colors. And the leaves, you only have 2. So you only have to do the leaves twice. But I do want them to be a little bit darker than that. So once I get this to the color that I like for the leaves, then I'm going to pull this one off. And we're going to go bring in our number 5. And same thing, I'm going to line it up with my notch over here. And then and all I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that all of the openings are on a leaf. Okay, so we're going to stick that there. Bring one of these in here and here. And you can use washi tape for holding it down. And now I'm going to come in, and I want this to be darker. So usually when I do the darker, I don't necessarily start off that much. I kind of go straight in so that that darker color gets in there. And the other thing I will advise you is make sure that you've re-inked your ink pads so that they have enough ink that they will pick up and hold, the ink will hold onto your blends. And you see I've used both the bigger blends and the smaller blends. All right. Actually, I see a spot up here that didn't really get a lot of color, so I'm going to do that. All right. So let's bring that up. Look at that. How pretty is that? Okay, now I'm fixing to put the card together. The card's going to go together pretty quickly. But before I do that, I want to show you how I clean these. I've seen people clean them with baby wipes, but there's these little delicate, can you guys see these little delicate pieces that if you try to rub them back and forth, you can bend those. And so you want to be careful. So what I do is I just bring it in and I set it here, and then I bring in another chamois. And if you don't have another chamois, you can bring in a baby wipe, and then I just blot this. Now, you guys can probably tell the inks eventually are going to stain your mask, but it doesn't affect it. Okay, so that's all I do to clean it. And then I've got to set these aside. Hopefully they'll get nice and dry, but I do have something to show you for drying as well. So I'm just going to blot to pick up that ink. And that way I'm not going to fold any of these little delicate spots. You can also do this with a washcloth if you don't have a chamois. So I'm just blotting those to clean those up. And this is the best way I have found so that you don't mess up your mask. Because I've already designed like 8 or 9 cards with these because I just had so much fun. I had them out the other day and I just kind of went crazy with designing with these. And then I'm going to bring in that last one. And again, we're just going to blot that up. Okay, so that's my tip on cleaning the mask. And then I will show you, I'll bring this one back in because I may have to dry these anyway. But what I do, so like if I'm sitting here and I'm making a bunch of them, I have one of these microfiber, this is like a Norwex one, but I have these little microfiber, and I just use that to pick up any wetness, and that's what I dry it with. Okay. All right, so now let's put this card together. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the sentiment from that stamp set that says "With Love," and I'm going to be stamping that down here with basic black Memento ink. Okay, so I got to move this down so that I've got it nice and even for me. And then I'm going to stamp that. All right, and then down lower, there's the "and thanks." And I'm gonna try to get this down low, and you'll see why in just a second. And so this is gonna be down along the bottom edge. So it says "With love and thanks." And again, let me just clean these really quick. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some of our, if I don't throw it on myself, I'm going to bring in some of our Daffodil Delight ribbon, which I love. And I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal. And, oh, you know what? I should have done the inside of the card because I think, yes, I was supposed to put a flower on there. Darn it. Well, that's okay. I'll have to rewash those. Actually, I think I'll just show you the insides because I've already made the insides, and I'll just show you those. That way you don't have to sit and watch me do too many of the mask, the mask, because I know sometimes, you know, it's not always fun to just kind of sit and watch, but hopefully for those of you that are crafting along with me, I'll just kind of walk you through that process. So the reason I left that, I put that "and thanks" like lower is because I knew I was going to put that ribbon across right there. All right, so let's lay that down. Now let's bring in our card base and let's put this part together. And so to put the front of the card together, oh goodness. Okay, I'm going to just burnish that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one and we're going to line it up over here as if it was a 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to leave that space around the edges. So I'm just using my Stampin' Seal Plus, which I love. And so we're just going to stick this in here. And then we're going to take the opposite side, because remember it's this, and now we're going to take the opposite side, and we're just going to put that in right up against that. I probably should have left a little bit more room over here, but I didn't, so we'll deal with it. Oh, I almost put the, I'm sure some of you saw me doing that and you were yelling at the screen, right? It's like, no, you're putting the adhesive on the wrong side, because I almost did. So then this is just going to be put butt up flush against that. All right, and then we're going to bring in some dimensionals and we're going to pop this up. Because I just feel like that would be a fun thing to do. Because I wanted these to be kind of quick and simple cards. And, you know, make these so that it's something that any of you guys could make. but I really wanted to show you those masks because I just really love them and I think they're wonderful. So even if you guys have bought some of the masks in the past and you weren't quite sure how to use them, hopefully you're going to watch me enough tonight that by the time we are done here tonight, you are going to be very comfortable using masks. And especially for those of you that are crafting along with me. So, because I know I let you guys know what I would be using tonight. And so we're just going to lay that down right there. And then I'm just going to come in with my little bow maker and we're going to tie a quick bow to finish this off. And then I'll just show you guys the inside. So you can either do those later. And I promise on the next one I will do the inside with you. But for this first one, we're just going to go ahead and, since I already cleaned off my mask to change colors, I will do my inside later as well. All right, so we're just going to tie that. This is another thing that you guys will get if you've never made a purchase with me. The first time you purchase with me, I send you one of my bow makers. All right, so now I'm just going to pull that down. I'm going to come in with my Take Your Pick tool and some mini glue dots. We're going to take that mini glue dot, there it is, and I'm just going to lay that right down there on that stem. And then we're going to bring in our bow. And I like to leave the glue dot kind of big because I want it to kind of catch my legs so that it lays. And then I squish up my ribbon so that it kind of lays open. So let me bring that closer so you can see that. So I just kind of push those edges and then that kind of allows it to lay open and be really pretty. Okay, so then we're going to trim this. So there's that one. And there's this one. The other thing you guys will get if you do the $40 order, besides all of the pieces and parts for this, because you're going to get the ribbon, you're going to get all of these pieces already cut, but you're also going to get a PDF. I'm going to send you a link to download the PDF so that you can make these again and again, because you'll have the step-by-step instructions. So that is part of that. And then this is what I did. So basically I just inked it up. So kind of let me show you. So I inked it up in black and then I just did part of it. And then when you do this, you do have to reset up your stencils because it won't work off of this one. So basically I had to like retape this down, put the stencil on here, and then draw in my triangle once again. But then that's what it would look like on the inside. Okay, so the first one's done with love and thanks. You make a difference. And obviously you could add embellishments if you want to, but I just want to, again, I'm trying to do some quick and easy cards for you guys. Something that even if you don't have the mask, this is something that will be very doable for you. Okay? All right, so that is card 1. Let me just get this put away and then bring in card 2, and I'll tell you what you need for card 2. And again, like I said, all the card bases, all the cuts are going to be sent to you. So card 2, I am using a thick basic white card base. So does anyone have any questions so far about anything that they've seen? So if you have questions, you can type them in. Say, okay, so card 2 is, sorry, let me move some of this stuff out of the way. Thick basic white card base. And then we're going to have, for the inside, we're going to have a piece of 4 and 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then a 4 by 5 1/4. And then for the front, we're gonna use this design, and it's going to be a 4 by 5 1/4. And then this is going to be, I believe this is, let me measure. Sorry, I should have written all this down. I usually have it written down. I don't know. Well, I just got back from Albuquerque, so 3 3/8 by 4 3/8 is the black, and then the white is going to be 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. Okay. All right. So for this one, what I wanted to do is something a little different. And you notice I'm stamping directly on these pages. I am going to show you, I believe the last one, I'm going to show you how we stamp, and then we are going to use one of the die cuts to cut it out. Again, I just wanted to make this super simple. So this time I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to keep my inside right here so that I make sure that I do that. Oh, you're also going to need I think this is a 1 by maybe 2 1/2 or 3 for the sentiment. Okay. All right. So let's move some stuff over here, and then let's get going on this one. So this one I wanted to do a little bit different. And so this time we're going to use the hydrangea. And we're also going to be using, just so you can be ready, we're also going to be using this little tiny leaf stamp. So we're going to ink this up with black Memento ink. But this time I'm not stamping fully on it. I kind of wanted to make kind of a fun little somewhat background. Let me turn that over. So we're going to bring this one in kind of at an angle. All right. Then we're going to ink it up again. And I'm just inking the top of the hydrangea because I know that's all I'm going to use. And then this time I'm just going to bring this in a little bit down here. Now, I am going to tell you, pay attention to where the top of your stamp is when you're doing something like this, because it's going to help you when it comes to lining up the mask. Okay, so there's that. And then I think on the inside, oh yeah, on the inside I just did this little stamp. So this one will be easy. Now I'm going to take that little stamp and we're going to ink him up. Now there's not a mask for this one, but I'm going to show you a fun little thing to do with this one. And then we're going to take it again and we're going to bring it in kind of like it's coming in up here. And then we're also going to stamp this in the bottom right corner of this piece that's going on the inside. Okay. All right. So now we're going to be using Fresh Freesia is the color we're going to use for these. Sorry, I'm trying to find places to set stuff. I have a huge table that when people come to my classes, they get to be on, but my actual work area is rather small. It's pretty much just a little bit bigger than what you're seeing here on the screen. Okay, so now let's do this again. So one of the most important steps is taping this down first, because you do not want this to move. Okay, now we're going to come in and we're going to find my number 1. Where's it at? So now we're doing the hydrangea. And remember, I told you kind of remember where the top was, because this one gets a little trickier because you're off the page, right? And so you don't have a full flower to make sure that you can line it up. So that's why I kind of remembered where my top was. And sorry, that moved. So I'm going to get this placed. Then I'm going to come in even before I draw my triangle, because I don't want this to move as I try to. So now I'm going to draw my triangle again and color that in just like I did on the first one. There's a little space right here that I want to make sure I don't get any color on, and then as well down here. Okay, so now we're going to come in with Fresh Freesia and we're going to do those same steps all over again. So I'm going to come in with my Fresh Freesia, and I start off because I want it to be, I want this first, the number 1 mask, I want this to be pretty light. Now you have to kind of work in twos here, because now what we're going to do is we're going to remove it off of here. And now I need to get this lined up down here. So remember I told you, remember where that top was, and I think I just, okay, let me let me remember where I had it here. This will help me. So this is my top, and that goes right there. So did you see what I did? Let me do that again for you guys. So I oh, that moved. No, no, no. Okay, so I basically went up here and said, where was that? You know, there's my triangle. There's my top right there. I'm actually going to put another one of those here because I don't want this to move. And so I got to do that one more time. So this is my top. So I kind of grabbed a hold of that, and then I brought it down here, and it helped me line that up down here. Because again, when you're doing just half the page, it makes a difference. So now I'm lining that up. Okay. I'm going to bring in some more of my, because I just want to make sure I'm protecting anything that I don't want to get ink on. You can also do Post-it notes for this, but I'm just using this. Okay, now here's the problem is see where our little notch is? So I'm going to bring in a piece of washi tape or, you know, Post-it note, and I'm going to draw my triangle right here onto this. So this is going to be my guide now. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to come in, and we're just going to put a light color down here. And then I can pull this one up. All right, let's pull all of these off. Obviously, your washi tape and your Post-it notes are going to get, after you've used them so many times, they become a little like looser. Okay, so see how I'm using this notch that I drew on my washi tape, or I keep calling it washi tape, my Post-it note tape. Okay, so again, I'm going to bring this in here. I'm going to cover that up, and then I'm going to come in a little bit darker this time. Hopefully, are you guys still with me, or are you already bored watching this? Hopefully you're not bored because we got one more to do. All right. So now I can pull that up and see how it's doing that darker color there. And now I've got to line it back up with this notch up here. And get it, there we go. Whoops, we got to get these lined up right. Okay, so this moved a little bit, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to color this in a little bit lower, so the next time I go to line this up, it's a little bit easier. So again, we're going to ink up, we're going to come in, we're going to make this a little bit darker. All right, and then we're going to take this one off, and then we're going to come in with our number 3. Aren't the hydrangeas pretty? These are so pretty. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, is again, when you don't have a full flower that you're working with. I've got it lined up there, and what you need to pay attention to again is all these openings. They're actually on a flower, and they're not like off the flower, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh, totally watching to learn. Yay. Okay, so what I'm saying is all these little notches there, I can see they're all on a flower. That's like super important. And I wanted to show you this version because it was partial flowers. And I know a lot of people, when they're doing this masking, the partial flowers get them every single time. Now I am seeing one little thing up here. So I saw this one right here was kind of off that flower. So I adjusted that just a little bit. Now we're going to come in full force. When I say full force, I ink, and I don't start off the page. Okay, we're coming in full color. Alrighty, now we're going to pull this off. Look how pretty that came out. Oh my goodness. Totally love it. Okay, so again, I'm lining this up with this notch here. These notches, guys, I'm telling you right now, they're going to save your bacon. If you really learn how to use these notches with these masks, this masking becomes really easy. And again, I'm going to come in just full force with the color here. And now we've got that done. Okay, so there's that. Now I still need to do these leaves. None of the leaves showed up over here, so I don't have to worry about it on that one. But I do need to worry about it on this side over here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this because I'm done with this flower and I don't need this notch anymore. I do want that to stay down though. And now what I'm going to do again is I'm going to line it up with that notch right there. I hope you guys can see how these notches are super important with this. They really help take the frustration that can happen when you're trying to do something like this and you spend so much time trying to line it up that it becomes not fun. And that's not what we want. So I'm going to close the fresh freesia, bring in the garden green. But if you really take advantage of those notches, this is easy. So we're going to ink that up. And again, I want this to be lighter. So I'm going to come in and I have to be conscious. This is open over here. So I'm going to kind of put my finger over that and make sure I don't accidentally go too far in that direction and get ink where I don't want it. Because again, I'm not cutting this one out, so it matters where the ink ends up. Okay, so we're going to pull that up. We're going to bring in number 5. And again, like I said, once you get it here, you can kind of tape that in place, but then you have to kind of adjust down here. Sorry. To where all of these little open notches are on the leaf. That must have moved a little bit because my notch didn't line up, but wait, now we're doing better. The leaves aren't that hard, so if your paper underneath does end up moving, you should be okay. Okay, but now I'm going to come in darker and get those highlights on those leaves. Alrighty. Ta-da! There's that one. So now it's like, so what are we going to do with these little leaves? Because here was my conundrum with this, was that we don't have garden green blends. And I was like, well, how the heck am I going to make these little leaves look like this? Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but when you're blending, the colors are a little bit different, right? It's not like when you're using the blends. So I decided I was going to use soft seafoam because I thought that would be a good match. So I'm going to bring in my light soft seafoam, and I might have ended up doing dark, but we'll see. And then I'm just going to like really quick kind of color that in and just give it a little bit of color. And it's not exact, it's not an exact match, but I believe that because it's lighter, it actually works. So let me bring it closer and let you guys tell me what you think. So see, it still has enough green in it. Can you guys see that? That it kind of matches up with this lighter green in the blending. So that was just my solution to not having garden green blends. And to be honest with you, I think even if I had had a garden green blend, it might have been a little bit too dark because when we're using blending brushes and ink, it does end up being a little bit lighter than when you're using blending brushes. But there's our, what do you guys think about doing like off the page? Hopefully that taught you about still lining everything up. So now let's put this card together. So I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So on this little 1-inch strip, I'm going to stamp that sentiment that says, "Thankful for you, friend." So again, I'm just using black Memento ink. Again, I'm also trying to use just a few inks here so that you guys can understand that, especially for those that are trying to get started with stamping and Stampin' Up, you don't feel like you have to run out there and buy every single thing that you see. You know, it's okay to set a budget. It's okay to have a budget and stick with your budget and say, okay, I'm going to add a little bit at a time. So obviously black Memento ink is a must-have with your first order that you make through Stampin' Up, because I'm going to say hands down, that's the one I use the most. But then you can start adding in. But if you do a lot of blending, you can see how by just doing layers of blending, like one stamp pad, I was able to get this beautiful flower that looks very blended. Blending pins also help with that. Okay, so now we're going to bring in our basic white base. And then we're going to bring in that fun ribbon, the faux, what do they call it? They're calling it faux velvet ribbon. And I'm going to run that across the middle. So I'm just going to trim that off. Again, I'm just going to flip this over. Actually, I'm going to put this on that black mat first. So hopefully if you guys were working with me, I didn't mess you up. So we're going to go ahead and mat it on this. Just a note, guys, too, I do this all the time. If you're running low on basic black and you don't want to use the whole piece, make sure you can use some circle punches. You can punch out some things in the middle here, because once you cover that, no one's going to know that there's things missing out of the middle. That's if you're needing to, you know, save some of your black. I'll use some rectangle dies in the middle so that I get a good piece of black. But sometimes I'll just, you know, punch out some circles that I know I'm going to be using at another time. Just kind of pick your favorite dies and cut some dies out. Okay, now I'm going to take this and we're going to wrap around. Again, I'm just using my Stampin' Seal Plus to hold that ribbon. So we're going to flip that around and flip this around. And then on the front of this, we're going to bring in that Designer Series paper. Guys, Designer Series paper almost always equals easy and quick card. So I know people say all the time, oh my gosh, do I really need more paper? My answer is always yes, because if there's ever a time where you need to sit down and pop out some quick cards, Designer Series paper is your best friend for that. And I hope you can see that, because I was taking obviously some time to do the coloring on this one and the masking, but then once I get all that done, how quick this goes together because of the Designer Series paper. So we're going to use some dimensionals again for this one to pop this up. And you guys can see that I only put them in the corner and in the middle. Now, I will tell you, if you're going to be mailing this, you might want to put a few more in here, because if it goes through that little rolling machine at the post office, I don't know that 5 are going to keep this up so that it doesn't push down. I mean, I've sent them that way and I've had good luck with them, but I do want to just give you kind of a heads up. Okay, so then now we're just going to take this and we are going to center. And again, I know you guys hear me I keep saying again, you guys keep hearing me say this, don't push this down all the way until you are happy with the placement. Once you're happy with the placement, then you can push down a little harder to make sure that they set and they hold. Okay, then we're gonna take this, and I do what's called an alley. So I know this sounds funny, but anytime that I have ribbon, I do not want my sentiment sitting straight on the ribbon. So I kind of make a little alley for the ribbon. And to do this, I'm going to use, if I can find my scissors, I'm going to use these things on this end. Sorry, I dropped my inside of my card. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go over about 4. And I'm going to use this side or this part of the dimensional, and I'm going to put it as close to this top edge as I can make it. Then I'm going to do another one down the bottom, and sometimes we have to kind of piece it together, which is fine. And the reason I do this is I'm trying to leave myself an alleyway down the middle for that ribbon to sit in so that it makes this level. I think I need about 3 more, so we're going to cut 3 and see if that might have been a little too much. It was. Oh, just like barely. Okay, so I want this little alleyway so that when I go to put this on my card, I've left a spot for that ribbon. So now this is going to sit nice and pretty on my card, and it's not going to be wonky. Because when it sits on this ribbon that's already a little bit thick, it can, when you put your sentiments on there, what ends up happening is because they don't, so like if I put dimensionals here, and then I had dimensionals in the middle that ended up on the ribbon, then the middle is going to be higher than the outsides. Hopefully that's making sense. So now I'm going to just set this. Make sure that ribbon is set nicely in my little alley. And now we're going to bring in one of our fun little starbursts for this one. So for this card, I did add ribbon. I did add the starburst. And you guys don't have to add any of that stuff if you don't have it. But it's just what kind of gives it its extra little zing. And I'm only going to put 1 on here. And then for the inside, again, I'm going to need to color these little leaves here really quick. So we're just going to color these in with the blends. But, you know, one of the things, too, that I want to point out is the great thing about Stampin' Up! Products is that they do coordinate together. Even though I'm using 2 different colors, the coordination still works really well. And it's just so nice. I remember having to go to a scrapbooking club one time, and they're like, okay, go pick out what colors you want for your paper. And so I would sit for hours trying to get the designer series paper, which was red, to match up. Hold on. That's not what I wanted. So I thought I had the wrong one. Okay. Sorry. There are so many different shades of red, right? And there's so many different shades of blue. And so I would spend half my class trying to get the paper to the designer series paper to match the cardstock. And so for me, Stampin' Up! Is my easy button when it comes to coordinating colors. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to stamp that right in the middle. You make a difference. And then let me clean that while I'm thinking about it. Now this last one, I'm going to show you how the dies coordinate and cut things out. And then I'm going to show you some of the other cards that I've designed with this set so that you get to see a good variety of what the potential of this can be. So now this is going to go on this mat here. So this is a 4 by 5 1/4, and it's going to fit on that 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of basic black. And again, if you feel like this is wasting too much, then take a rectangle die and cut the center of this out. so that you can use that again later. So let me just get this to, I always try to do my bottom first and then lay it down so that it lays down nice and straight. And now this is going to go on the inside. So I have to tell you guys, I'm a little quirky here when it comes to using white card bases. I do not like stamping directly on the white unless I have something really cool to put in here. It's just me. It looks beautiful when other people do it, but this is just one of my quirky things. So that's why I always will matte. Even though I could have just stamped all of this right here and it would have been perfectly fine. This is just one of my little fetishes. So anyone else out there feel the same way? I can't do it. I can't just stamp on the inside of a white card. I don't know. It's my issue, right? So what do you guys think? So there's card number 2. Now think about if you were to add Wink of Stella to this, how pretty that would look. It would really just make this whole thing sparkle. All right, so by just, like I said, I'm just stamping tonight, guys. I'm stamping and I'm blending. I am using those masks, but I'm just stamping and blending tonight. And I think I'm coming up with some really fun cards. So thankful for you, friend. You make a difference. Okay, so now let's get our last card done, and then I can show you all of the other ones. Okay, so for this one, again, here's my white card base. And then I have my mat for the inside. It's garden green, and it is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. You like a strong card. Yes. Okay, and then we're going to use this Designer Series paper, cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then we need 2 of the 4 by 5 1/4 basic whites. And then this is an inch. I got to see what size this is. Sorry, guys. I am gonna use a die cut to cut this out, but this is an 1 inch by 3 1/2 piece of white. And then this one is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. Another basic white piece. Okay, but this time I am going to be stamping onto the 4 by 5 1/4, and then we're going to be cutting this out. Okay, so this time we are going to use Melon Mambo, because I want to bring in different colors just to show. So you guys might be wondering, so why did she pick those colors? Well, I'm glad you asked. I picked those colors because they are the colors that when you look at the Designer Series paper, it'll tell you what colors coordinate with it. And these are the colors that coordinate with the Designer Series paper. So that is why I picked these. Okay, so now we're going to come in and I think we'll do the hydrangea again, just because I have that stamp sitting right here. Even though I love those other, I think they're dogwood flowers. I'm not sure. Now this time I don't have to be too concerned about getting color anywhere else because I'm going to be cutting this out. But there's that. But I just want to show you what it looks like. One, in some other colors. I mean, blues would be really pretty. And you'll get to see that because I've got, wait till you see all my extra cards, because I've used a lot of different colors. I even brought in some crumb cake and some moody mauve. Oops, I almost did that. And I don't think I cleaned my stencils. Oh no. I think we'll be okay. But where's my Melon Mambo? Sorry. I had everything sitting here and it got buried somewhere. There we go. Okay. Melon Mambo, and I am going to have to clean those stencils really quick, so bear with me. So does anyone have any questions while I am cleaning these really quick? I'm going to clean them and dry them so I can use them right away. And you'll get to see that too. You'll get to see how you can go ahead and get this all nice and wet, but then once you dry it off, it's ready to use right away, which obviously is what I did the other day. because I made several all in one sitting. I'm not going to worry about the green because I think I'm not going to worry about the leaves one because I'm using garden green. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. Okay, so then remember how I had that little Norwex cloth? So now I'm just going to come in and I'm going to make sure this one's nice and dry. This one's nice and dry. And this one is nice and dry. That's how quick you can switch those colors even if you're you just got that whole mask wet. Okay, so here we go, and let's get this lined up. Now you'll notice that this is on this card, right? But I don't care because I'm cutting this out. So it's okay that I'm drawing this in on this piece of paper. Yes, I could use some of this white for later, but I'm not going to worry about that with this one because I don't care if color gets in other places. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's bring in the Melon Mambo and let's show you how pretty this comes out. So start off and then we're going to come in very light. Now one thing you might want to do is as you're doing each of these mask and each of these different layers, you can actually do darker and lighter as you're doing this. So I can leave it lighter here, darker here, with each layer as I go, because that's just going to give some more interest and some more fun to the card. So let's pull that up. Oh, yep, that needs to stay there. Okay, now let's bring in number 2. I'm going to line it up right there. And again, I'm just kind of adjusting, up and down over here. So I hope that made sense what I was saying. So you can even get more layers and more coloring layers as you're adding this. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Like I might want to be darker there, and then I'm going to be a little lighter there, a little darker in the middle, and then kind of leave the outsides a little lighter. But then come in, do you understand what I'm saying? How as you're doing each of these layers, you can also add dimension as you're making it lighter and darker in different areas. So see how it's lighter there, darker here. And so I'm creating that look along the way as I go, not just depending on those 3 different layered masks. You can actually add some more interest and dark and light areas. All right, so let's lay this one down. So, and I'm really going to be able to show you on this part, because what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to come in, I'm going to have some really dark areas, and then I'm going to leave some of the other areas lighter. And then you'll really get to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so look at that. So can you see how that, let me bring this a little bit closer so you can kind of see how even the dark areas here aren't as dark as this one here because of the way that I put the ink on it. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's finish this one up with the leaves, and then we're going to finish this last card, and then I'm going to show you some of the other cards that were made with this set so that you can see the full potential of what is available. Okay, so I can put my Melon Mambo away. And what I found interesting is when I saw that Melon Mambo was one of the colors, I thought, God, that's going to be such a bright flower. But as you can see, the Melon Mambo did not come out as a super bright flower, right? It came out what I think was a really pretty pink. Okay, so now we're going to come in. I think I'll do this leaf a little bit darker and maybe darker in that area. Okay. So again, I'm kind of adding shades of dark and light as I do this. And then we're going to bring this last one in, and it's going to finish up the detail. Okay, so let me just, so now we're just going to come in. And like I said, I call this full ink. But again, like I can do the tips darker than closer to the stem. And that's still going to give it that look. Okay, so there's that. So what do you guys think about the Melon Mambo? Were you thinking that it was going to be kind of bright like I thought it was going to be? And then look how soft that actually ended up being. Okay, so now let's switch over to my die cut machine. Hold on one second. Let me just get all this out of the way. So we're going to just take the, oh, let me stamp the sentiment first. Let me find that. Oh, what I do with it. Oh, I'm always losing those little white ones every single time. Oh, I think I wanted to do the inside flower too. Yeah, I did. So bear with me. I do want to do this really quick. So for the inside of this one, I'll try to be really fast here, guys. I did want to put that flower down here. Plus, I'm trying to give myself time to find my strip of white that I had sitting here. Did I throw it on the floor? Oh, who knows? Oh my gosh. Okay, so again, this is the top of my flower, but I did want this to be kind of on the inside of the card. So let's do that 1, 2, 3 really quick. Sorry, but I do want to kind of show you this finished. Let me move this out of the way. So again, here's the top of my piece here. I'm going to line that up. Okay, so let's color in our triangle over here. It's like, oh my heck. I hate it when I forget that I wanted to do something and then I get to talking. And does anyone else do that? You guys start talking and you kind of forget what it was you wanted to show people. Okay, so I'll do this one kind of fast. Okay, so there's one. Move this out of the way. Bring in 2. But me doing this fast is also going to kind of show you how quickly, once you get good with the mask, and again, it's all about playing with them, like getting your stuff out and play with it. Sometimes I feel like, you know, we get these new tools and then we're afraid to use them, right? We're afraid to get them out and use them because, oh my gosh, what if I ruin the card? Okay, make another one. And I do it too. So I'm not just talking about you guys, but you know, sometimes I'm like, well, what if it doesn't turn out right? Well, what if it doesn't, you know, well, what if it doesn't, you know, then we're just gonna adjust. All right, let's see what's going on with this. Why isn't this one wanting to line up? There we go. This one's being a little weird. Well, there, I got it. See, again, it's a little bit harder when you do like a partial flower because then trying to get everything to line up the way you want it to becomes a little bit problematic. I don't know why, but it does look different when you're trying to line it up when you only are working with part of the flower. So boom, there we go. We got it. Okay. I didn't want to not do that one. And then I think on the inside of this one, I decided to, I use the same sentiments throughout. But again, if you guys have sentiment stamp sets, you can change up the sentiments. You can bring in, you know, other sentiment stamp sets that you want. You could do, you know, any of these could be Happy Mother's Day. Any of these could be Happy Birthday. They can be whatever you want them to be. But I just wanted to work with the stamp sets that were in it because for one, I need a lot of thank you cards. But I will tell you this, I normally don't stamp in my thank you cards because I like to write like a special note. when I'm sending thank you cards. Okay, so there's that. I still haven't found, guys, I still haven't found that piece of paper. Oh, wait, is that it? I found it. I'm so glad. I was like, what the heck? Okay, so I'm going to do You Make a Difference. I think that's right here. Now I feel like I have to speed up because I'm trying to get done. Oh, I already went over my hour. Dadgummit. I was hoping I was going to get this done in a timely fashion. Now, I'm not going to worry about getting that completely centered. And that was horrible. So let me stamp that. See what happens when I try to go fast? I just need to take a breath, breathe, and we'll get through this. All right. Better. Okay, so now let's switch over to my die cut station. And I'm going to show you the dies. So for this one, let me do this one first. For this one, I actually brought in the new textured note dies because I wanted to use this long die here. So I'm just going to line this up to where it fits. And I think that's straight. It's going a little bit off this edge, but I'm okay with that. Okay, we're going to run that through, and then we're going to run the flower through. Then we're going to put this card together, and we're going to be done with this one. But I just wanted to show you guys how fun it is when you, one, bring in some other dies, or even just use the dies that come with this set. Now, you can just buy the mask. You know, that's perfectly acceptable. If the mask are what you really love, you can just buy the mask, but you know, I love the dies as well because they're going to cut out my flowers, which are going to make it so that I can make some different types of cards. So let's cut this out really quick. And I know I showed you guys that die set right at the beginning, because it cuts out both of the big flowers, and it cuts out those little tiny flowers that we stamped in the second card, but it also cuts out like some of the inside of this. So like you could make one of these and it actually like cuts out some of these so that you could pop them up. Okay. All right, we're back. Back over here. All right, so let's put this card together really quick. Okay, so we're going to come in with our designer series paper again. And look how pretty that side is. I got to admit, I had a really hard time putting that side down, but I did it. It was for the good of the card. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Okay, then I want to come in with this piece here. Now, I could have die cut this out too. It would have looked really pretty with that same textured note dies. But I decided to just, because again, I want to show you guys how you can just use, you know, your basic white paper and still get a really pretty look. These lines make it easy to center that. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my dimensionals in. We're going to pop up this flower that we cut out. So let me try to go quick here with the dimensionals. Sometimes it feels like the dimensionals take the longest, correct? So I hope you guys have learned some stuff about the masking. And that I was able to help you maybe not be intimidated by it, and then just grab them out and start playing with them. Because honestly, if you use those little notches, it is super simple to do. Let me just get all these. And if you guys aren't familiar, this is my Take Your Pick tool, what I call my right hand. This is one of the best tools I think that Stampin' Up! Ever came out with, because it has a putty end on this end where you can pick up some of those little embellishments, and then it has this, and then it has this that's a spatula end. And then there's all sorts of other, it has another attachment that is like the to stencil or to score, that is available too. Oh, ooh, almost messed that up. So I wanted to bring in just a little bit of this ribbon. This ribbon is kind of thick, and so I did do a couple of bows with it, and for me, the bows just seemed a little bit too much. They were a little too thick, but I've seen other people put them on cards with bows, and they do look super cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold up a glue dot, and I'm going to put it on this side because I want it to hold this, because then I'm going to go to the other side and basically tie a knot. So I'm just going to add it like that, and then I'm going to bring this in, and this is going to just kind of, I purposely made the mat smaller than the flower, so don't think that was a mistake. That was on purpose. And then I'm just going to take this, and I am just going to tie, oh, sorry, I'm going to add another glue dot right there. And then I'm going to tie a knot, and the glue dot is going to be what is actually going to hold this thing together. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm just going to tie my knot. Come on, come through there. And then my knot's going to fit right down on that glue dot. And that way I don't have to tie another knot. And then obviously I would fix this later. Then I'm going to come in with the You Make a Difference. Okay, and this is going to kind of go off this way like so. And so this part, I'm obviously going to put liquid glue. I'm going to use my dimensional on this end right here to hold that side up. I'm going to come in with some liquid glue on this side. And then I'm going to be able to lay this right where I want it. So it's going to go like right there. I want to even with the edge over there, and then make it straight. Okay, let's put the inside in, and then I'm going to add a few little things on the front, and then we are going to be done with card 3. So before I bring out the extra cards, does anyone have any questions about using mask or anything that you saw me do tonight? So if you've got any questions, you can just type those in. I'm always happy to hear from everybody. If I didn't explain something well, let me know. You know, those of us that do these videos can learn from you guys when you guys say, hey, that was great, but I didn't really understand what you were talking about. That actually helps us to do better the next time that we get online. All right, so this is going to go on the inside of my card. And then I'm going to pull some of these here. Now, I looked at this and I'm like, you know, those look really good. The Fresh Freesia ones looked really good, but I always have to be different. So I'm going to bring in my Melon Mambo blend, and I'm actually going to color in 3 of these so that I get that pink color. Now this is a little bit darker than the flowers, but I think it's still going to be a nice contrast. So keep in mind, these white ones can be colored to match whatever you're doing. So if you're not using these particular colors, you can still use your blends and make it the color you want. Again, I love Stampin' Up! I love that they give us all these tools so that we can make this the way we want that. And what just happened to my, oh, I was holding it weird. I was like, why did that not look like it was sitting straight? Okay, so I'm going to remind you of the ones we did tonight. Then I'm going to bring you in the extras. So remember, guys, if you want me to send you these card kits, minus the stamping. All you got to do is place a $40 order between now and Monday. If you do it on Monday, everything will ship out on Tuesday. You can come back, you can watch this video. You'll also get the you'll get a downloadable link to download each of the PDFs for these as well. So I hope you guys like these, but let me show you the rest of the cards. Now I have them in plastic, so okay, so here's another version. It was stepped up. So this is my stepped up version. Okay, I added more designer series paper. I brought in and I used more of the dies. Here's another stepped up version. Now this is what I was talking about. So we have a die that will actually cut this flower right here apart from this flower, and that's how I got this flower here. So there's another version of it. Here is completely different colors and bringing in some other dies. And again, you know, these are just the extra cards. Okay, here's this version where you can see I blended in here and I did some heat embossing here. And then last but not least, this was actually cutting one of these apart for this card. So here's the deal. You're going to get these three, right? These are the card kits you'll get for an order of $40. Now, if you do place an order, so let's say you bought the suite, which is 90-something dollars, what I will do is if you do a $90 order, I will do the card kits for all of these. So you guys will end up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 card kits. So you'll get the card kits to make all these. All you guys have to do is the stamping portion of it. But like all these leaves will be die cut for you. All of the designer series paper will be die cut for you. Any of the other dies, all of the ribbon, all of the embellishments, everything's going to be included for you in your card kits. Okay, so for a $90 order, you're going to get, how many are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 card kits. For a $40 order, you'll get the card kits that I showed you tonight. Okay, they will include the embellishments and the ribbon. Alrighty. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I hope that if you guys do go out and you buy this suite, and you can come back to this and you can then craft along with me. Hopefully I went slow enough that you'll be able to craft along with me. But guys, I so appreciate you guys giving me your time. I don't know if you understand how much it matters to me that you guys actually join me. And I love it when there's comments. It just makes me feel like I have my little group with me. So again, I'm going to give you one last, this is how to get in touch with me. If you have any questions, you need to get in touch with me. If you do want to place an order, the link to my store should be in the descriptions. If it's not, you can go to juliebrown.stampinup.net, and that will work as well. So everybody have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this was helpful. And I will hopefully see you guys next Wednesday.